Yep. Yours?
True self.
Yep. I'm live, I think. But yeah.
Fight.
So, a couple of big releases this week. So I'm going to start with, the more important ones. ARMS, because ARMS for the Nintendo Switch, which is a new IP that they showed during the release of the Switch, and it's probably one of the most highly anticipated Switch games. And basically, what it is, it's a fighting game. It's a fighting game not that different from like a Wii U boxing game, but the difference is there are actual characters, like a Street Fighter game where there's several characters which have special moves and customizable things and all that stuff. And I think the roster is about 10 players or 10 characters, which isn't a lot for a fighting game. But for a Nintendo game, just getting into the fray with a new IP, it's a decent amount of characters. And the variety of the fighters is pretty diverse enough, so it's kind of something for everyone in the sense. There's online play, which is kind of cool. And the beauty of this is you can go and do the storyline, which is just a single-player game, or you can go four people at the same time from a single Switch.
Right.
And online, which translates to something like a 2v2 match, right? Or two versus two local. It's kind of cool. But of course, you have to have another set of the Switch controllers, which it's a different issue.
But they're super cheap, right? Like
no, the controllers are expensive. That's the problem. The controllers, a pair of controllers, is like $79. So
that is very pricey.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And of course, I'm sure that there's a ton of technology in it, but as far as price point goes, I mean that's a lot of money for a controller. I don't think anybody's really that willing to spend that much money on a controller.
Enemy eliminated.
They do have like this thing called a Pro Controller, which again, still expensive. For $79.
Enemy
right.
But as far as motion detection goes, these small things are really, really well built.
Prepare for battle.
More efficient, of course, than the old Wii controllers and all that stuff. And the range of motion that it detects is pretty awesome. I mean, the 1-2 Switch game, which is sort of like the parlor games of the Switch, are they're sort of party games and they're one-offs and whatnot, but they're still pretty good.
Fight.
But yeah, so that came out. So ARMS came out on the 2nd. Oh no, on the 13th, 16th, and already like
everyone heal up.
Stores that had it quickly sold out.
Enemy eliminated.
So there's that. And then I understand that a new version or an expansion to Final Fantasy came out.
Get over here and heal up.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we had the early access begin for Stormblood, which is a new expansion for Final Fantasy 14.
And were you online like when it hit, or?
I wasn't. I started trying to play yesterday, which in most instances would probably put you a fair bit behind everyone else. But thankfully, as all MMO launches go, whether it be a new release or just an expansion, it didn't go so swimmingly. When after about an hour or so of play, you actually couldn't get past a certain quest. There were so many people trying to do it, and they didn't have any way to queue up for it. You'd go through this long cutscene. You'd go through it the first time, and then the next time you would skip it. But you'd go through this cutscene, and you would be back at the start of the cutscene, and it would say a movement error.
Now, Would this prevent you from progressing altogether in the game, or?
No, you could go and do something else, but it certainly stops you from progressing the main story.
Oh wow. So it's still kind of a big thing then.
Yeah, so
Enemy eliminated.
people were really mad, and I understand that. We're talking about people who have been trying to get in since Friday morning, and it's actually only today that it got sorted. And we don't know how it got sorted. Suddenly everyone was just getting into it. Whether they opened up another server to deal with all the instances or not. But the problem with it was, and this made it a little bit more of a problem than what it could have been, is that it had to do with story instances. So it not only did it stop you from progressing through the main story quest, but any of your actual job quests, your any of your class quests, you couldn't do because they'd all be instant. There was
Objective unlocked.
Yeah, that definitely could be an issue. So what I heard though is they created a whole new, like, US based server, right?
Right. So we had a server migration.
Play of the game.
Jeepers, was it May? I think. So they moved the servers. They were somewhere up in Canada, but the servers got moved to somewhere in Sacramento, which in itself there was a lot of complaints about it, because you're talking about moving from a server where you're kind of central, where everyone's kind of restricted, to moving it to Sacramento, so you're hitting. It seems strange to put it on one coast of America as opposed to in the middle of America.
Yeah.
I think that's what people were a bit kind of.
Yeah, so the West Coast people
frustrated
would
about
definitely, get the performance upgrade, while the East Coast people would still be kind of stuck in.
Right, and I don't think it was as simple as an upgrade for pure performance. What you were looking at was, in the new expansion, you have a expanded inventory. So you've gone from 100 slots to 150 slots. And your armory has gone from, I think, 25 slots per item to 35. So you've got quite a big expansion there, and that's what they're kind of saying was the big reason for the upgrade. But I suppose, excuse me, one of the big issues with the whole issue, so to speak, was the rumor mill was going crazy that the US was the only one to actually have that issue. So when the game initially launched in 2.0, they wildly underestimated the popularity, and they had massive issues getting people onto the servers.
So I assume lots and lots of QQ.
Prepare for battle. Select
Pardon?
your hero.
Lots and lots of crying from the people there.
Right, yeah. But you didn't have that issue over in Japan, and it seems like, again, whether it's an underestimation or just the actual server structure in the new place isn't optimized.
3, 2, 1. Fight.
Enemies here.
I mean, because it couldn't be just as simple as, like, them switching on a button and saying, okay, server's ready now. There should have been some optimization involved, right? So it could have been that.
So
Eliminated.
it's just a very strange thing, because there was so little actual
Enemy
talk,
eliminated.
communication from them, which really bugs people
Teammate
as well. Like, there was
eliminated.
no information given. and they were going on about fixing other problems that were arising, and they were almost ignoring this one, saying that it's well, what people were taking as that they were saying it's working as it's meant to. Of course, it's rubbish. I mean, no one can get into it.
Enemy eliminated.
Then that's not working as it should be. But it was. Thankfully, it seems that the issue is sorted now, and certainly.
Prepare for battle.
I've been seeing a lot of people that would be kind of big fans of the game saying that they hope this really hurts Square Enix because it's just they seem to kind of take people for granted in some cases.
Do you think that that's actually the case?
I don't like. I saw a lot of talk online about them saying stuff like, oh, like they're not even trying to fix it, like they don't care about what actually happened. But I don't think that I mean, after seeing some fan events and whatnot, it does seem like that, as far as game companies goes, they actually do care more than a lot of the other, like, more than Capcom would or Konami does, you know? Like, it doesn't seem that they're that callous as far as their customers go. They, in fact, have, unlike a lot of other gaming companies, they actually have fan events, fan fests. You know, like there's a Final Fantasy 11 fan fest, there's a 14 fan fest, and you don't really see a lot of that. Oh.
Teammate eliminated.
So it is something that I think they're actually really good at.
Yeah.
Is they do interact well with their with their community. Now, I mean, there's always going to be faults. There's always going to be problems with the company. You're talking about, and this is something that like I've been thinking about recently.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14 is one of the most updated games.
Yeah.
I don't know the current employment for Final Fantasy 14, but certainly they were at over 300 when they were launching the game originally back in, was it 2013? And
build them up.
I
think they're still above 200,
which is fairly big for an MMO staff, right? I mean, usually you start with a big staff, and then once it's launched, they start dwindling in size again.
Right. So they've got this big staff that they're holding on to, and they are one of the biggest. They do release a lot of content. One of the big worries with this expansion is when 3.0 came out, the last expansion, there was, I think it was close to a 6-month gap in content, which is, for Final Fantasy 14 is massive. They looked, at one stage they were talking about pushing out a big patch every 2 months. And when they
Turrets under fire!
They're currently on about a 3-month. So they release a big patch,
great things for you,
which is a lot. You're talking about a lot of content, a lot of work, and trying to keep that fresh is very difficult.
Yeah, I bet.
Need more scrap.
And I mean,
so
they've been releasing expansion packs like every 2 years.
So yeah, at the moment it's on a 2-year basis. So and this is again one of the big things that's coming out from this expansion is people are worried about the game becoming stale. So every single year that they've released, it's been the same content. So the first the expansion releases new areas,
true enemy
new
of humanity is
primals,
disorder.
which are your kind of
Fight.
End boss type
big
of thing.
Match
fights.
point.
You're talking about new
From light into being.
dungeons. You're talking about all this content that they're releasing,
Turret online.
and with
But do you actually think that the content is getting stale?
Eliminated.
I think people's problem with it is that it's the
Teammate
same content. It's
Sentry deployed.
still you still get a dungeon, and whatever kind of funky mechanics they put with it, it still feels like the same kind of thing.
Teammate eliminated.
So
Score.
they do have
2-2.
they have released a lot of new content. So with this,
Prepare
with
for
the
battle.
previous expansion,
Select your
you
hero.
saw the launch of Ishgard,
Yeah.
and you also saw the launch of Flying Mounts. In this one,
Gesundheit.
they've added swimming.
But they have also released like consistently at least 2 jobs or whatever, right?
I
With
will
each
protect the
expansion,
innocent.
which is
Acknowledge.
sort of a good thing, right? I mean,
Fight.
you don't see that happening in
I might need
you
this
know
later.
a lot of the other MMOs out there. You know, other than WoW, I guess.
Right. So yeah, you are talking about 2 new jobs, and
Eliminated.
this time it is Samurai and
Red Mage, yeah.
Red Mage. Yeah. So with the launch of these 2, it's a bit of a strange one in that
Projecting the barrier.
you're talking about
Enemy eliminated.
the launch of 2 DPS jobs, and that's
Enemy
one of the big
eliminated.
worries for people at the moment, is how that's going to affect actually getting into
Enemy
things
eliminated.
like dungeons,
Yeah.
where you have long queue times anyway. Now, I'm relatively lucky in that I play as a healer, so
Play
my
of the game.
queue times are relatively small. Whereas I know from other instances where queue times can be 30-40 minutes, and if you're talking about playing a computer game and you've got an hour to kill, you don't want to spend half of that
Yeah.
in a queue for a dungeon.
Yeah, that was the biggest
Um,
problem of 11 before. The queue time was just ridiculous to get into a group that would actually be doing content.
Yeah.
Like- but okay, so they've also introduced something new from I hear that global instancing or something like that, where people from different servers can join in on a single instance or something. Or I forgot what they were
Right.
talking about.
So when up until now, when you've gone to do a dungeon, what's happened is you can go in with a full party, or you can go into this dungeon finder, and it will try and match you with people. So
Okay.
if it's a regular dungeon, there's 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 damage dealers, DPS. They can be from any world on the server. So there's I think there's 6 different servers, and there's about 15 different worlds per server.
Entering the necropolis.
So you could be across any different ones. You could be pulling players from any of them.
Prepare for
Now
battle.
you can actually set
Select
up
your
parties in the party finder, which is an actual in-game option. You can set up to find a party, and then you can go into dungeons with that party. But the party doesn't have to be from your world, it's anywhere on that server now. So the pool that you can actually play with has now increased massively.
Now, has that actually helped with queue times, you think?
I think where you'll see that helping a lot is you'll see people grouping up together in much different scenarios. So you're going to be seeing people who aren't as pushed to actually form groups with people. Form groups of people from Sorry. Always fun when you're trying to eliminate someone and they've pushed back. You're going to see groups that are forming inter-server, as opposed to everything being limited to your weekly group being from one world.
Yeah.
You can set up static parties now from a much
Across,
larger base.
across bigger pools of people. That's actually really cool.
Which is a lot handier. I mean, people are a lot more spread out in the game. We're talking about a game that's been active for 4 years now.
Yeah.
The actual amount of people playing the game, I've seen people come up with crazy stats, but the truth is the actual amount of people playing the game is probably at an all-time high.
So do you believe that, or do you feel that the pool of players right now, active players, has increased drastically because of this expansion? Or, I mean,
0 to 1.
or do you think that this is just one of those? Okay, it's going to be great for like a week, and then after everybody's hammered out all the content, then it's going to go back to like, dismal numbers or something.
Yeah, so I think one of the best additions for older content, because they've always had this duty roulette experience where you do it on a daily basis, and you get loads of experience and loads of currency to do this duty. But what you we're beginning to see more of is there's one of the features on it is something called the Wondrous Tales. And the Wondrous Tales are basically it's set up from this one character who is actually a child in the game. It's actually one of the few children that are in the game. The majority of small people are children. They are they're Lalafels, so they're the small race. So now you've got these wondrous tales where it's
Enemy eliminated. Enemy
where
eliminated.
it's older content,
Enemy
or not necessarily older content, but you do these contents and it's a big range of different content. So you've got so it can be, there's a couple of what are they called, primals, and then you have the likes of the Binding Coil, which would have been the very end game from 2.0. And you do all of these and you get tokens, and then if you match up your tokens in a line, it actually gives you really good gear.
Okay.
So it's kind of, they have all of these different game mechanics in the game to try and do it so you don't have to do the same dungeon every single time. Which I think is really cool because
the content becomes stale a lot, less than it would if you just had to like grind through the whole thing over and over just for.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much of this. I mean, I was trying to level up there, and I thought I was being really smart about it because when you're unlocking a new map, you get experience for doing unlocking each part of the map. So I thought I was being really smart and swapping to minor to get bonus experience for my minor, until I realized I didn't have enough experience to do the next quest because I needed more quests for my actual main job. That kind of backfired on me. So there's a couple of different options for leveling.
I have big plans for you.
And what you have to understand is when we used to play 14, what was it? The total experience of all 50 levels was something like, was it 1.8 million or something for all 50 levels?
Yeah.
To get from 1 to 50. The new content
Double
The new to go from 61 to 70 or 61 to 62
I'll fix
is
you up.
4.8 million experience points. So you're talking about a lot.
tiebreaker
Right, well
objective
played.
unlocked.
So I there's a couple of different options to level up
Prepare for battle.
on. One of the
Select
most
your
popular
hero.
one from kind of 1 to 60 is who can you become a real tank? No, we don't. Is doing Palace of the Dead, which was new content brought out in
The true
3 point
enemy
something
humanity
in
is
the
disowned.
last expansion,
One.
but not at the start of it.
Fight.
Where you
Match
start
point.
off at level 1 and it's an
will protect
independent leveling system. So you're talking about bringing not a
From
new
light
character
over
as such, but talking about
Teammate eliminated.
bringing
My defenses are weakened.
Enemy
Set
eliminated.
so you start at if you start at floor 1, you're starting at
Teammate eliminated.
level 1 again with your character, but you level up very quickly. Mobs, you hit level 2, if you kill another 3 you're at level 3, if you kill another 4, and so on. It's not quite as easy as that.
Yeah.
But you level up quickly, and what that actually gives you is like it's a really good way of learning different jobs. So that would be a very popular way for Samurai and Ninja, because you actually don't go in with, you don't need a tank
From
and
light into being.
a healer. You can actually end up going in with 4
seconds
DPS. So it's a really different way of doing it. But
My
it gives you
sentry
good
was
leveling.
destroyed.
The way I chose that to level up was
Score.
doing frontlines.
2 to 2.
Frontlines are PvP.
Prepare for
Okay.
battle.
And I'm not.
Now, is it massively
PvP.
PvP? Like, you know, a crap ton of people and all that stuff? Or?
72 people.
Oh,
So
okay.
you've
Wow.
3 parties, and each of the parties is the Grand Company. So,
Okay, so it's like a Royal Rumble kind of thing?
1.
right, yeah, it's what it is it's it is you're trying to control different locations in the game. So for example, like it could be somewhere in they're set maps, but like one of them is like in,
Enemy eliminated.
Warford,
Enemy
I think it's
eliminated.
snowy area.
Enemy turret.
So
Teammate eliminated.
one of them is that way of doing it.
Teammate
Then you have just there's different ways of doing it, and again, getting kills in it doesn't give you experience. You get your bulk of experience at the end of each battle, and at the moment, I'm a 4.4 million experience that I need to actually level up. I actually get 680,000 experience points per battle, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Considering each battle takes somewhere between, is it 15 to 20 minutes?
30 seconds.
So
remaining.
it's a lot of experience over a small amount of time.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
Enemy
really
eliminated.
kind of nice way of doing it. And I checked it. I remember doing one of my front lines. Actually, my first front line was
Play
with
of the
crosses. And I'm sure front lines came out in 2.0, not in 2.0. And I remember doing a front line and kind of going, yeah, this isn't my cup of tea. And I actually checked it there today. I've only ever done one before. So I obviously really didn't like it all that much.
Yeah.
But going into it today was a lot of fun. So it's definitely probably the way I'm going to keep leveling up, because there are a lot of jobs to level up in the game now, and there's just a lot to do in the game, and that can be super overwhelming for someone who's kind of looking to start the game.
Yeah.
It can be really overwhelming for someone looking to come back into the game. And you're talking about, like, I took about a 2-year break because I wasn't playing the game properly. I was popping in and out to say hi to people, but I wasn't actually playing the game properly. Like, with the new expansion going ahead, I'm now at the same level as most other people. In fact, I am, because they've also changed up the whole gameplay features, and the actual changes are really interesting because there's a lot of changes for each class.
And combat has changed because there's now an auto attack kind of thing, which can sort of get you through on your own without having to button smash, right? Because I did see a stream that you linked to me before, and yeah, the auto attack felt a lot like the auto attack from 11. You know, where there were just base things that happen.
It's an interesting one. The actual way the whole system works now is, I'll give you White Mage an example because that's the only game I've really tried. I've tried Samurai as well as Small Mage, and I can kind of talk on that. And actually, Samurai seemed like a lot of fun. FYI, not trying to tempt anyone. So with White Mage, the way it works is I have a new bar to try and fill up.
Build them up.
So unfortunately, they've gone with the super masculine term, and for me, I actually have to try and obtain 3 different lilies. Super masculine. Very happy with that. But the way it works is I get a 50% chance of getting a lily when I
enemy eliminated.
When I use Cure 1. So I have a 50% chance. And if I get it, it adds a lily. I get a maximum of 3 lilies. And it was something I hadn't really understood when I was watching all the videos. There's a 100% chance of getting a lily if you use Cure 2. So if I go around hitting Cure 2, I'm going to stack up my lilies quickly. And the way it works is the lilies stack up, and if I take something in PvP, for example, Benediction, which is my ultimate heal, goes on a 2-minute cooldown after use in PvP. But if I have 3 lilies, it changes that from 2 minutes to 1 minute.
That definitely changes the dynamic. I mean, yours is a healing thing, but like if you were a DD, then suddenly your super ability is available in half the time. Yeah. That will have a massive impact on DPS.
This is actually one of the best things that I've actually found about the game so far. It doesn't work the same way for each class. You're talking about, that's the way White Mage. Samurai works really differently. So Samurai works on the basis that you, if I do a combo of 3 different moves, it gives me 1 stack. If I do another combo, it gives me another stack. And they have to be the different combos, and they're your different combos for each of the DDs. And if you keep doing that, eventually you build up a stack of 3 different things. They're not lilies for Samurai, but that will allow you to do a certain move, which is on essentially no cooldown at all.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's great.
So you build it up, but you can use it. If you use it after 1 combo, it uses a certain move. If you use it after 2 combos, it uses a different move. So that the 2 combo one is AoE damage, and then the 3rd combo is one that's a lot of damage for one on
Enemy
single party.
eliminated.
And that's just I really like the way that each one's different and they've thought about different ones.
Teammate
And it
eliminated.
just makes it really
Teammate
unique to play
eliminated.
certain jobs,
Enemy eliminated.
which makes it a lot more fun. So I still haven't played around with most of
Teammate
the
eliminated.
classes. I still haven't tried the new Red Mage.
Watch
Um,
this.
from what I've heard, Red Mage is a lot of damage. But NC is going to be a massive issue. So it's going to be really interesting seeing how the game
Score
kind of
1-2.
keeps ticking away in the next while.
So it's been
one
out
of
for
the
how many days
Prepare
now?
for battle. Select your
So
hero.
it fully released on Tuesday.
Okay.
The 20th is its full release. Early access started on Friday. I've already seen. I
60s.
was standing, trying to finish that one quest that was locking everyone out, and I already saw someone that
Fight. Match
was
point.
max level and had just finished the main story. So we do have people going hard at it. So yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. That's without even touching any
Enemy
the
eliminated.
crafting or
Enemy eliminated.
any of the gathering. So it's one of the things with the game
Enemy
is,
eliminated.
for me, I really enjoy crafting, gathering. So the fact that I genuinely don't think that we ever get crafting or gathering in the game. I think it's always going to remain the same thing. So that's a little bit
2-2.
disappointing. Now maybe
Prepare
there'll be
for
some
battle.
surprise at some point
Select
and we
your
will get
hero.
a new crafter or gatherer, but at the moment it looks like
Shepherd.
they'll just keep adding different jobs. Shepherd, yeah.
Now, one other thing that they released with this thing, or plan to release, is the super level up, finish the storyline thingy for money.
Yeah.
1. Fight.
So
Match point.
they released this because one of the big problems with new people, like how do you get
Enemy
someone to
eliminated.
come into a game that's 4 years old,
Teammate
get
eliminated.
really good reviews from that, so it's doing really well. But how do you do it that they'll come into the game and they won't feel lost?
Enemy
And
eliminated.
the short answer is you can't.
Enemy eliminated.
The way
Teammate eliminated.
the way they've kind of brought it in now is you can buy
Teammate
new
eliminated.
these things on the Mog station, which is through your actual account through the website, the Square Enix website. They give you this option of buying a speed boost, which is it essentially brings any character from level 1 to 60.
Play of the game.
And there's also a story one, so you can buy different story ones. It can bring you all the way to the end of 2.0, which was a Realm Reborn, which was the initial launch in 2013, or you can buy one that brings you to the end of Heaven's Ward, which was the last expansion, which essentially brings you right to this point that we're at now.
And the thing is, like a power up like this isn't really that uncommon, because with some games like WoW, for example, just to use something that's really popular, when you buy an expansion, that it actually gives you an item that automatically powers you up to like max level with one character.
Right.
That seems to be, and it's not just WoW. There have been other games that that did sort of like instant power ups, and the reason behind it is to get people to get up to speed as fast as possible, so they can play with their friends. Destiny did it, among other things, and I think it's a great move. My only thing is, it's something that Square Enix charges for, whereas all the other companies are just giving it away for free as part of the welcome back to the fray. Here's our new expansion. Here's a way to get you caught up so you can play. You know, like
Right, and I
Entering the
suppose
necropolis.
that's one of the big issues with Final Fantasy 14 is
Select your hero.
how do you implement it without people that are already in game abusing the system, so to speak. With the likes of World of Warcraft, you get this level boost for this one character.
Yeah.
But you can't play another class. You can only play that class in the game.
Yeah.
If I was to buy the expansion, which Shop did, which is why I had it rented. If I was to buy the expansion, what stopped me from using that power-up that I have to advance my levels of something else? And it's an interesting one because I don't really know how to limit people in it without so that they're not abusing the system. So it's expensive. The 60 character to raise a character to 60, I think it's $25. And then you're talking $30, I think, to bring you to the end of Heaven's Ward.
Yeah.
I think it's $15 for, and I could be wrong with these. I think it's $15 per expansion, so it's $15 for A Realm Reborn, $15 for Heaven's Ward. So if you buy the game for, let's say, $60, and you want to start with your friends in the new expansion, you're talking about actually having to spend close to $110
Just to play a game.
just to catch up. And that's steep. I understand where they're coming from with it. They're trying to bring it so that they're trying to do it so that people aren't abusing the system. They're trying to do
Need more scrap.
taken for granted. It's something that people will do if they really do, not just for the laugh, just raising all their characters and essentially paying to win. They're trying to stop that kind of cash shop grab thing, which so many games are going for these days.
Yeah.
Prepare for battle.
But I mean,
Select your hero.
I think that Square Enix is going for longevity. I mean, they don't want to just do, okay, we'll grab them right now while the expansion's out and get as much money as we can right now because we know they're going to drop off anyway. You know, I mean, I think that they honestly want people to be part of the community. You know?
Yeah. It is a game, and I was actually watching recently. The producer and director, Yoshida, and they did, and the game 2.0 first came out, they did a video with the producer live on stage, and there was loads of people gathered around, and they were talking about how they got the game out and what needed to be done to get the game to a playable stage, and what the way the game was, and it was just what actually ended up happening was he stood up on stage and he talked about all of the work that had to go into it, and he actually broke down in tears, and that they're actually now I think what was more likely at the time was he had absolutely no energy left. He had spent 18 months building a game from scratch. Most of the story was there, but building a game to something that at the time was absolutely make or break for one of the biggest, if not the biggest, JRPG companies in the world.
Match point.
So it was definitely, we're definitely talking about someone who isn't making the game to make a quick buck. He's making the game because he loves the franchise, but he also loves MMOs. So this is definitely his idea of the best MMO that can be
Teammate
released.
eliminated.
And that's so different from what the original director or the original producer was trying to make. He wasn't trying to make a game that was massively successful, where you could kind of almost theme, and Final Fantasy 14 is a theme. They're not trying to deny that. This isn't the kind of an open world game where you're going to go in and you're going to have so many options of stuff to do from level 1. From level 1, you're talking about a linear game.
Yeah.
And it's actually probably the biggest selling point that Final Fantasy 14 has. Final Fantasy 14 is an MMO, but Final Fantasy 14 is also probably the biggest single-player MMO that has ever been released.
Yeah.
A lot of people play it for the story, and they will play it just to actually go through the story that's actually there, and they won't do any raids, they won't do any PvP. They'll play the story, they'll drop the game, they'll wait for the next patch, they'll do another month, and they'll do it all again. So
now, is it entirely possible to go through the game without doing these massive group fights, that require to have a respectable number of friends with you and all that?
Well, the only thing you need to do is instant dungeons. So with that, you don't really need a group of friends anymore.
Yeah,
you can do that through the duty finder, and generally speaking, the Final Fantasy 14 community is actually really good, and there's been a lot of talk of that over the last while, in that if you do something wrong, it's not bitch moan, bitch moan. What they tend to do is they say, look, I do it in this
Select
way.
your hero.
This seems to be the better way to do it, but keep working at it. That's not going to be the majority, but it certainly seems to be a portion of the game that kind of is really just genuine about what they're actually doing.
One. Fight. Enemy eliminated.
The other thing, which really has been thinking at the moment about what MMOs are and what it actually takes to be a successful good MMO is there's a new MMO up. It was on Kickstarter and it did really well. It hit its goal in a ridiculously short amount of time. It hit 1 million or 1.5 million or something like that. Now it's very successful. But the thing with it was, and they finished this tour video, and it was really interesting because they gave the tour of the office. The guy that's actually the creative director for it isn't this big gamer. Well, he isn't this big game producer. He's not a game designer. He is an actual gamer. And he's someone that seems to have played a lot of MMOs growing up. And he's still a big fan of it. And he wants to make a game that all gamers will love. All
I have
just wait and see what I have in mind. That's what I had in mind. It's super open world. It's got all of these different options to do, and it's super player driven, and it's a super complicated game. So when you talk about Square Enix employing somewhere around the 200 mark for Final Fantasy 14, and that's a game that's been released for years.
Score.
This game has, I think, 11 people making the game.
Prepare for
And
battle.
for me, I don't understand how they're going to be able to make a game where they have so few people actually working on the game and having it released to the standard that they want.
And have the
sounds
support
like-
available if a bug is reported, for example. You know, I mean,
Right, exactly. So you're talking about 11 people. I mean, some of them are sound directors, some of them are like just actual artists. They're not programmers. So it's just going to be very interesting to see how they manage to actually
Teammate
pull
eliminated.
this off if they can. If they can, it's likely to be a fantastic game.
Teammate
But
eliminated.
how do you make a game with 11 people?
yeah.
And the graphics are beautiful. So I just don't know how they're going to be able to incorporate all of it. But look, it just shows if you have money, you can do anything, right? Maybe. You can definitely throw money at it. The people that the guys got are very good.
Score 1 to
The
2.
people that have worked on Star Wars, The Old
Prepare for
Republic.
battle.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a pretty good
they-
roster if you have that kind of talent. But still, 11 people is 11 people. You could have the most brilliant people in the industry working on it, but then, you know, things will, like, real life will come into play. Like, it's not like these guys are just doing that. There's got to be some other crap that they're doing. You know?
3, 2,
Yeah.
1.
So yeah,
Match
it'll
point.
be interesting.
Enemy eliminated. Enemy eliminated. Teammate eliminated.
We're not doing so well in this game.
Enemy eliminated. Enemy eliminated.
You're doing all right on this one, though. We caught up. I wasn't paying attention for like half the time, and I
Yeah,
feel
me
sorry
too.
for our teammates, but
Hey there.
yay! I just got hacked.
Armor here.
I don't know where this last guy is, dude.
Enemy seen.
Winner.
There you go.
Someone found him.
Score 2 to 2. Prepare for battle.
So when are you going to see Wonder Woman?
Oh yeah. Hopefully can't do it tomorrow night, so I'm hoping to go see it Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully.
Nice. We saw Cars 3 yesterday, which was actually not bad. I mean,
I will protect
my kids are
the
big fans
innocent.
of the movies, like Cars 1, Cars 2. and all that.
Fight.
Just
This one-
kids?
Point.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are too. I mean, that's a given. It's cars and, you know, and it's toys and stuff, basically. What it is.
Contact.
But for once,
Teammate eliminated.
it didn't feel like one of those super let's all be happy and yada 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 kind of movies. You know, it definitely was more of a realistic, of course it's cartoons, but it felt more real life related than all of the other Cars movies that were out there were just so out there. And it went back to the roots of it being about racing. Because Cars 2 was not
Okay.
about really. I mean, there was a race, but it seemed that the race was just secondary to the storyline, which was like this spy
Play
movie.
of the game.
How did I get that? But whatever. Oh, this one. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But earlier I was doing nothing. But one really cool thing is that so there are lots of flashbacks in this movie, and what they did was they went into the original scenes that they were flashbacking to, and they redid it with the new graphics, so it made it look
Okay.
even so much better. Like there's a certain way that they handle metallics and reflections and light right now that was just over the top. I think it's one of the best looking CG movies that I've seen in this whole thing, like the Pixar Disney collaboration. Even in the trailers, if you see the trailer with Lightning McQueen, the lead character, the red car, as he bounces off the track, you see particle effects. You see pieces of the car really like flying off of him, and it's just
Yeah.
it was really well done. Let's shift over to the regular game. Get out of the arcade. Oh wait! How many wins do you need to get more boxes?
Another 2, so we'll move over to quick play.
Let's stick until you get your 2 wins and you get your box.
I'm going to change it to Mystery Hero, though.
All right, that's fine. That should be interesting.
And do you think, does it feel like they're kind of dragging out the series?
No, I think they're going to end it here. They're going to end it here unless... okay, so spoiler alert, if you plan to see the movie or whatever, then cover your ears, whatever. But, so with any other racing game, right, the usual ending is like, with his will and spirit, blah, 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 and, he will prevail and he will become the winner of the race, right? That's usually the thing with these racing games, right? In the end, it's a feel-good movie because he's going to be number one. Not so much in this one. But it wasn't such a bad thing that he can't be number one because you have an old racing car that's competing against the newer cars that can pump out more RPMs, have state-of-the-art training facilities that allow them to perform better, right? So on paper, he can't compete with them, right? Even with his buttload of experience, that's not going to do him good if his max speed is 198 and these guys are pulling 213 and have the most advanced training facilities out there, etc., etc. So it's just not going to happen. They could be, you could be a skilled driver and all that stuff, but there is a limit to the capabilities of the car, and it was really apparent throughout the movie that was the case. So what they did was there was another car that was sort of introduced, a secondary character, and they had her finish the race at the end, and she became the main character for it. So it's a great change where because they know that the lead character really can't compete, so they give it to somebody that actually can. A more modern car.
Enemy turret ahead.
Ouch! Ice wall coming up. Time to raise my APM.
Have you been playing much Overwatch?
No, not really. Other than when the anniversary was still on. Not really.
The anniversary's over now, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see you get past this.
There's no new content happening, is there?
No. Right now, it's pretty much, plain vanilla. And that's why it's harder to get into groups now, I think. It's just, it's just because everybody really wanted to focus on the anniversary. Because it was also double XP. Right, that's how I got my levels. Yeah. Double XP, and then a bunch of people that were just playing. Because you were getting something like 15,000 on a win. If you had enough.
You were hacking,
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot you down.
Exactly what I was doing.
Time to raise my APM. APM 좀 올려볼까?
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Justice will be done.
Oh great, I'm the tank, which, I know so much how to play.
Really?